You are listening to Making It, the path to beauty industry greatness with Canvas Me, where we go behind the scenes to explore the human side of beauty professionals, learn how they found balance in their lives, overcame obstacles, and created communities that transcend the ordinary. Hosted by Canvas Me co-founders Jen and Matt Martinelli alongside Canvas Me directors April and Megan, Making It is your guide to navigating the ever-evolving world of beauty. Today, Meg met with Sean and Aimee Sickles. Together, they're the driving force behind Innovate Academy, which is a cutting-edge Redken endorsed accredited beauty school in New Jersey. Sean Sickles was born into the beauty industry. He's a third-generation hairstylist and entrepreneur. As the co-owner of the award-winning Innovate Salon Academy, he has turned his passion into thriving success. Sean's credentials include over 35 elite certificates in advanced education from prestigious institutions like Redken Exchange, Pureology, Bumble and Bumble, and the Vidal Sassoon Academy. We hope you enjoy today's episode as Meg dives into Sean and Aimee's journey, their insights on the beauty industry, and the innovative approaches they bring to their academy.
All right. Hi, Sean. Hi, Aimee. Thank you so much for joining the podcast today. So thrilled to have a husband and wife duo join the podcast. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to jump right in. I know we're going to get into a ton of different things today. You both have so much experience that our audience wants to hear about, but I always have to ask all of our guests, have you made it? Do you feel like you've made it?
That's a great question. So I guess for myself, hence our name Innovate, I don't know that I'll ever feel like I made it. I think we definitely are in a good place. I love where I'm at, but I definitely look forward to the road to the future. We can always do better, be better, and that's really kind of our mission, across the board in anything we do, especially in business.
Right.
But I definitely feel like I'll always push for more. I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, but it is what it is.
And I agree with that. I feel like if we asked our younger selves at this point, 3 schools in and, 3 beautiful children and, a great home, we're all healthy, I think we'd be very proud of ourselves. We are very proud of ourselves, but for sure, just to kind of piggyback off of what Sean said, there's definitely a lot of room for growth for sure.
Yeah, I love that. I love the fact that you both kind of recognized where you are and are taking the time to be proud and celebrate. I feel like sometimes we kind of all get lost in the busyness and the race to move forward, and we're always looking towards that end goal, and sometimes we don't take into account those moments. So I love that you both said that for sure.
Cool.
So I want to kind of recognize both of you, both individually and together, because you bring so much in your backgrounds. But I would love to hear either, like I said, individually or together, your stories, kind of how you got to where you are with the school, with the salon. Let's talk about it.
Cool. So basically, we are, me and Aimee are high school sweethearts.
I love
and
that.
Yeah, so it's been a couple of years. We've been together a couple of years. But, I guess I'm a third generation hairdresser. My great grandfather was a hairdresser. Both my parents, hairdressers, and have operated a salon for over 40 years. In John Laurie Salon in Fairhaven. And yeah, I mean, it was never something that I thought I would get into. To be honest, I was, I definitely toyed around, cutting my friend's hair. Me and my youngest sister used to cut our Yorkies' hair in the garage. as kids, but definitely never thought, we'd be doing this. And yeah, I started, wasn't sure where I wanted to go. Was always kind of creative, into art, wasn't
Mm-hmm.
quite ready for college. Um, and yeah, decided to kind of go to beauty school as like a fallback, something I could always do, take anywhere I went. And just honestly never left. Loved it, always fun, never hated going to work.
Uh-huh.
Always different, new trends, new techniques. I feel like I go to work and I kind of like hang out with my friends, my clients that I've had for many years, so it's always very enjoyable. And then yeah, we kind of had a opportunity, I guess you could say, in our market, that beauty school, as we knew it, wasn't the most sought after, or sought after career, or the most desirable career path. Had
Okay.
kind of almost a little bit of a you know um, stigma, I guess, associated with it, right?
Right.
As I think most hairdressers could tell you. And yeah, we decided to start a school journey and really kind of bring real life, on trend education to our market.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the start. Emma, I don't know if you could piggyback on any of that.
Honestly, I feel like you knocked it out of the park. That's literally kind of how it went. I feel like it started off with like your mom having a dream, and then it kind of trickled,
Oh,
from there.
I love
Yes.
that. What was the best part of growing up in a family that was full of hairstylists?
That's a good question. I don't know if I could tell you the best part. I mean, it was always fun, always creative. My mother would come home from some of these, classes or seminars, and I'd be the guinea pig. So I could tell you that I've had some really interesting haircuts as a kid.
I
So
wish we could show photos of that. I should have asked for those as
Yeah.
part of
there was
this.
never any evidence, no photos of any of those particulars. So some cool ones, but yeah, it was always fun, always like creative, and I would say like always very much more accepted.
Uh-huh.
For different things than maybe some of the other kids who parents had a little more of like traditional backgrounds, career paths.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So when you talk about that opportunity to open Innovate Salon Academy, and like you know that's such a twist or a pivot, or in your path. Number one, what made you say yes to doing that? How did you know that was what you should be doing? And number two, looking back, are you happy you said yes? What is the most rewarding part? I know it's a
Great
lot of
Great
questions.
questions. I know. I'll try to hit on them. So yeah, I mean, ultimately the opportunity was, presented. We went down to a colleague's school, in Tampa,
Okay.
Florida. And they had a phenomenal academy. Just, both the aesthetic, the culture and atmosphere, and just the education, what they were learning, and compared to like what I learned in beauty school. And yeah, like Emma said, my mother was like, this is amazing. We went down kind of more on salon business, and, kind of were like, what if we did this? There's definitely a need for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely I'll say lack of, great education, in our market in New Jersey, or there was. And, we were kind of just came home like very, just kind of very refreshed, very passionate. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember we were just talking about it the other night, actually. Talked to Emma about it and was like, what do you think about this? It kind of seemed very far fetched, very crazy. kind of a pipe dream. And,
Mm-hmm.
she jumped on it more than I think I thought she would or expected her to, and was like, that's the next step. That's what we're
Mm-hmm.
doing. So yeah, I mean, and I guess, yeah, I mean, it's been incredible to really see, to see the students and see them start, and
Mm-hmm.
to see them finish, and really, yeah, really be able to give them, you know, education that's based on like today's, what's in demand today, today's trends, today's techniques, today's technology. That's kind of our biggest, I think, motivator, is really giving, future professionals like what's in now, and not just like,
Mm-hmm.
stay bored, I mean, obviously stay bored and
Right.
all the that goes along with it.
Right.
But, really giving them on trend and on, market education.
Yeah. Go ahead, Emma.
I also think I think this path for us is very fulfilling,
Mm-hmm.
where we do get to see the students kind of start and then excel. We've been doing this for 15 years now, and there's so many students and staff, that have evolved into, multiple salons or multiple
Right.
spas or barber shops.
Mm-hmm.
Or that, just come back a couple years later, like, hey, I wanted to introduce you to my new baby, or like
Oh.
we're really part of a ton of people's journey, and I feel very blessed. I know Sean does as well, but it's very fulfilling to be at the point where you can help somebody on their journey achieve
Mm-hmm.
success. I think it's like full
Yes.
circle for us, which is
Well said. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And you really kind of illustrated really well, Emma, like your connection to your alumni. The fact that you have people coming and bringing their newborns and sharing those like next steps with you is so awesome. And I think it's something that we want to see more of in the industry. Staying connected with alumni is so important. And I'd love to kind of pick your brain, see if you have a tip or something that you would say really makes your alumni stay in touch with you, or something that you have done that would help other schools in making that connection with alumni.
what we do a lot of. We have a pretty large platform on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and we do really try our best to repost any of our alumni that do tag us. So I feel like that's
Mm-hmm.
another way that we stay connected to them.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, we become friends with them. They, while they're students, of course, but like when they graduate, like it's a
Yeah.
different kind of relationship now.
Right.
um, and it's something where I'm personally friends with a lot of our alumni on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
when we do advanced education, we always invite the alumni to come back.
That's
And we have
good.
another
That's a good
platform
point.
on Instagram that is specific for our alumni. It's a private group, and
Mm.
that's where we do a lot of kind of chatter about where they're being placed and if they're looking for job placement and things like that. And now with you guys on board, it's just like another layer of success for our alumni.
Yeah. Awesome. And would you say most of your alumni, are they, going and working in more private salons? Are they owning salons? What are you seeing is the trend?
You want to answer that?
Sure. So I think, as we all know, suites,
Hmm.
are, pretty big. They're fairly new to the New Jersey market. We really,
Okay.
have just got a kind of an influx, if you will, of suites over the past like 2 years.
Hmm.
So I would say, kind of a range. So you definitely, we're place our students, across the board. I do feel like we have a lot of students that are working in traditional salons, some that go to suites. I personally, I always kind of urge, especially new stylists, estheticians, barbers, right? Is to kind of get into a little more of a group setting.
Right.
Um, we as a, we're a team, right? And we always say, like we are a team. We're only as good as our team members, and we really truly believe that in the academy, and I truly believe that in the salon. That going, for individuals just getting out of school, there's always a lot to learn, and we are always very constructive, hands-on, and very open with
Yeah.
education that we give to our newer stylists. That sometimes, independent, that the independent suites and things like that, you don't offer as much of like that ongoing knowledge, right? But I would
Mm-hmm.
say, yeah, we definitely have a wide array of individuals going to work at, traditional salons, spas, barbershops, as well
Mm-hmm.
as independent suites.
Yeah, but
Gotcha.
we encourage them to not go right into suites just because, I mean, one, state law says you do have to have a license for a certain amount of time to kind of open up your own thing, or kind of more set.
Oh, that's interesting. So is that a New Jersey thing?
Hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because I worked in a school prior to Canvas Me in Pennsylvania, and so I know our state laws. So I had never heard that. So that's interesting.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you do have to have a license for a certain period of time
Yeah.
in order to get in order to open, right, a suite. You can have someone else there that has kind of a manager's license, or there's another layer of license that you can have to open. But
Okay.
New Jersey doesn't allow you to just be licensed and go right into a private suite. So
Okay. Okay. That's so good to know. And like I said, I love to hear like different states' laws and procedures. And I know our audience does as well. So it's fun to learn those types of things. So now I want to circle back with the school. So you have two locations, right?
Great.
Three. Oh my gosh. Three. Okay. So did you open all three at once or was it a progression type thing?
So it was a it was a progression. We opened South Plainfield is our flagship academy. We've been
Okay.
open there just about 15 years. Then we opened Ewing, which is kind of West New Jersey. We border Pennsylvania, so we do have a lot of students,
Okay.
from Pennsylvania that'll come over, and vice versa. And then we just recently, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, opened Brick, which is in
Okay.
Bricktown, New Jersey. So now we do have three campuses within the state, and hopefully a couple more in the future.
That's exciting. Okay. So you're managing three locations, three different teams, obviously different demographics of students and everyone. So give us a little insight into that leadership, that kind of getting everybody together, but also having each campus have its own personality. Talk us through that a little bit. I know it's
Right.
probably like an hour
No,
long
that's
response, but
Fabulous, fabulous team. Like we are really
awesome.
just so lucky to have everybody on our team that we have. Like they're
Hmm.
all individually just, I'm super impressed with all of them. But go ahead, Sean, you could take this away.
No, yeah. So, like you said, it's each school does definitely have a little bit of its own culture and its own identity. That is one of the, not, it's one of the most amazing things. But allowing, and again, like I kind of talked about my parents, right? Allowing, um, your team to really bring their own culture, their own identity, their own flair to their academy, especially our directors. And like I mentioned
Mm-hmm.
before, our team really is everything. I mean, we started off and we used to do like have a hand in everything and really like, there every day. And although we're still very, very, very involved, we just have an incredible team, and we would not be anywhere near where we are today without them. And we truly, yeah, we truly, have a family, and that's one
Uh-huh.
of the things that I think does, like you asked before, keep alumni coming back. A lot of our team is grown internally, or that's kind of how we,
Mm-hmm.
ideally like to do it. That they really get that culture and really, continue to provide stepping stones for individuals within the company to, to further their career, further their education. So yeah, our team is really at the forefront of everything we do. And yeah, we have our brand, we have our innovate culture.
Mm-hmm.
And we do really, we do really kind of keep that at the forefront of everything that we do.
Yeah.
However, yeah, there is definitely, when you go into each academy, there is like a little bit of a different, kind of feel, if you will. And
Yeah.
it's unique to that. And, we love that, because it does truly give, a essence of like who that academy is individually.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you share a little bit more about the culture of Innovate? Like, just an example or two of how you foster it, how maybe you both or your team, how they emulate it, kind of how you keep it at the forefront.
I'll let you take that one.
We do a lot of team building, but I
Yes.
feel like we always put the students, like it's at the end of the day, it's about like the students.
Uh-huh.
It's about the staff as well. But I feel like motivating the staff to motivate the students, and then always going back to our core values.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, with our weekly meetings and things like that, really just kind of keep us on our toes and keep us collectively all on the same page,
Mm-hmm.
with like keeping that culture alive. We do obviously have a trickle down effect to where, this is a chart of this is a chart of this is a chart of this.
Right.
But ultimately you can go to any of our staff and you're going to get the same bright smile, the same, warm energy, no matter which location you go to. So I think it stems from really great leadership from,
Mm-hmm.
the directors, and then of course the leads, and then all the rest of the team. So I think we just have fabulous leadership, that really just again enables like all of our core values.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. I need to come visit your
And
schools,
we
I
have a lot of
swear.
fun.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Oh,
We
gosh,
do. We
it
have a lot of
sounds
fun.
like it.
We
It
do.
sounds like it. Yeah, I'd love to come visit. I think it would be so fun.
We'd love to have
Um,
you. You should definitely come.
You should definitely come.
yes.
Love to have you.
Okay. Good. Good. I'm gonna get it on the calendar.
Sounds great. Love that.
So I want to ask too, what is the biggest reward when it comes to, owning a school and working with these students in the future of the industry? What's been your biggest takeaway or reward from it?
That's a big question.
I know
um,
you have a big responsibility in the schools, and so it definitely, we can
Yeah.
feel that kind of question.
I mean, for me, I would really, kind of, again, circling back to like what Aimee said, really just seeing, our students start off and come in on their first day, and sometimes, a little nervous. Sometimes,
Hmm.
so a lot of them are young, sometimes a little quirky or a little, unsure of themselves, maybe is a better word. Not like, and really seeing them like find themselves a lot of times and
Hmm.
realize that they are, have different, not are, that basically, yeah, that they have different capabilities and different motivators and some of their friends that are, we're going to college or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyway, really, seeing them start, seeing their journey, seeing them finish, become successful, buy their first like really nice new car and, move into their first
Mm-hmm.
apartment, get married, like I said, have babies and come back and visit us, I think is, probably at the forefront of our biggest reward. Um,
Yeah.
and then ultimately like I said, as a, hairstylist, third generation hairstylist, I think for me as kind of more globally, I would also say, one of our biggest reward is really seeing our industry come full circle and really seeing, really, feeling like we had a hand in kind of raising the bar in our market and as an
Mm-hmm.
industry across the board that hairstylists that it is a valid great career and you can make great money and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and really just seeing it. And again, I think, as a whole industry, both, hair, hair, skin, nails, barbering, as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like has really, we've really elevated the game in the last, 5 to 10 years. And, yeah, I can say that we definitely feel like we had a hand in that, in the New
Yeah.
Jersey market, at least.
Yeah. That's awesome. Aimee, anything to add to that?
Honestly, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So, Sean, you are an educator as well. So, do you ever get into the schools, get into the classrooms and teach?
Not as much as I would like and probably and should, to be completely honest with you. I spent a lot of time more in the salon area at one
Okay.
point,
Yeah.
working kind of more hands-on one-on-one with students. I do get in and do some classes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say not on the regular. I do love it. I do enjoy it. I definitely get kind of pulled a little bit, and as much as I am hands on, like actually in the school, I guess, I kind of tend to get pulled into the office more.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
which I have to say, it's not my ideal. I still do. I still do hair, but I still work behind the chair a couple days a week. So
That's
that's kind of
awesome.
my
You can tell he loves it.
motivator. Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yes. That's
For sure.
awesome. Well, and you have, how many students that probably come and work at the salon, right? So, I mean, like you said, that's kind of your classroom. What's your favorite thing to teach or show them?
I would say, I really enjoy it all. I honestly, I love color. I love cutting. I do a lot of men's cutting as well. I really love kind of full circle. I love kind of, taking even color cutting and really putting them together. So I really do enjoy all aspects.
What do you think the students like to learn the most?
Color. I
Yeah.
think students enjoy color the most. It's fun. It's creative. Hair cutting is great, but it is very, it's very structured. It's very
Right.
architectural. So yeah, it's definitely a little more of like, exacts with the color. They can kind of play a little more and.
Yeah, that's so true. So true. But I like if you can find someone that can really cut your hair well, like you're with them for life.
Yes,
So,
it's the truth. The color is great, but I have
yeah.
so many clients and I always tell the students, and it's like, yeah, the color is great, and it's there's a lot of money in hair color, and it's definitely a little more of a repetitive what's the word? I guess a little more like, repeat service, right?
Yeah.
But the haircuts are really imperative. You gotta
Yeah.
cut. You can color great, but you really gotta cut well as well.
Makes or breaks it, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's, yeah. Okay, so I want to ask you something, ask you both. You know, is there something that you wish maybe a mentor or someone had shared with you early in your career? Or, what is something that you kind of wish that you would have learned earlier that maybe you're learning now? Or, that type of insight that comes from experience and years. What would you share with someone?
Consistency. Get yourself on a routine. You know,
Okay.
it's like, I go to the gym a couple days a week, and I feel like when, I figured out my routine, with all the kids and, your work schedule and, your husband wife
Mm-hmm.
schedule, and, you have businesses that kind of, play a huge part. Staying on a routine and kind of keeping that schedule, I think has been the biggest thing that I would like to have known early on. Sean, what about you?
That's a great question. I mean, so in regards to the school, I would really put it back on my team. I feel like I started out and you had to do everything right, but I've tried to do everything and be a master at
Yeah.
everything. I'm a little not, I'm I guess particular. I'm kind of OCD I want everything to be perfect, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like Emma said, getting back to the students, we want everything to be perfect for the students. However, I'm not, you can't be a master at everything. I'm not nearly a master at everything. So I would say, really finding your strengths, knowing your strengths and understanding that those are your strengths and being okay with what your strengths are or what your strengths aren't. And likely so doing the same with, your team members, and really finding what their strengths are, and basically utilizing them, allowing them to, implement and really, yeah, depending on people's, what people can basically bring to the table, and allowing them, and basically allowing them to utilize those. That makes sense. So I guess I
Yeah.
kind of said that a little weird, but yeah, it's like I feel like, yeah, creating a great team, creating a great team and just kind of making sure that you're kind of hitting all the bases and allowing people to kind of run with it.
Right. Yeah. Because you can't be the master of everything, you need to have those people that you can count on, and that they've got this handled, they've got that handled, and then it turns out that your team is a master of everything. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
As long as the team is a master of everything, then,
and it's all good.
We're golden.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Well, honestly, I've had so much fun with the both of you. It's been really great to kind of get both of your perspectives. And I mean, you've done this together. So what is the best part of doing this all together? You two, as husband and wife.
That's another great question. What would you say, Aimee?
Putting you on the spot first, huh?
Right? I think going through this journey together really kind of helped us grow as individuals and as a couple. Definitely wasn't easy at sometimes, but I think that it really made us put some structure into how we raise our family, and just kind of like everybody we've met and have been a part of their journey has kind of created just a really cool journey for us.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I agree. I think, ultimately, like as high school sweethearts and starting kind of where we started, and you know, I think ultimately, yeah, it's just like, no one better, no one I'd rather do it with than, than
Yeah.
Aimee.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh,
We have some help along the way. Like I said, we have great
Yeah.
partners, we have
Right.
great
Yes,
family,
but
and
still.
absolutely. So, but
Yeah. No, I love that for sure. Thank you for sharing that little insight into you guys. So again, really appreciate you taking the time with us. One final question. What is your purpose? Oh, now it's a hard one.
go ahead, Aimee. What do you got?
wow, that's gonna stump me. My purpose. I feel like there's a lot that I could answer that with.
Yeah.
But for I feel like my purpose is to my purpose with the schools would be different than my purpose, my normal purpose.
Right.
But I feel like my purpose with the schools would be to just, I guess, help change the world for the better in a very small way. I really kind of, again, being a part of people's journeys and just kind of
Yeah.
like helping them with their potential.
Yeah.
Like I love what I
Absolutely.
do. I literally I love what I do. I've been doing this a really long time, and there's not a day that goes by where I'm just like, oh, when you'll see me when I walk into schools, I'm like, hey girl, hey, blah blah. Like
Yeah. Oh,
I love the energy, and
love it.
my purpose is to just stay a part of it.
Yeah.
People to, I don't even know.
Well, you can tell that you love it. You can tell that you have excitement for it, and yeah, you're just kind of bringing that vibe to the students in the school every day. So I
She
love
does.
that.
She does. You could hear her all the way at the front of the school, all the way in the back. That's what the students would be like. I always know when you're here. I love it. It's great.
Oh, that's great. That's great. What about you, Sean?
Um, Honestly, I would, I would like kind of stick to the same game. I really feel like, raising the bar in our industry, making, making students that aren't maybe the best students, right?
Yeah.
That aren't college ready, or that don't go to college,
Mm-hmm.
giving them a path to make a great living, provide for their
Mm-hmm.
families, and really, yeah, really just, make a great life for themselves, and, not have to kind of go to a traditional career path, be able to do it in a quarter of the amount of the time that some of their friends, did, that went to a 4-year
Yes.
college. And, really, yeah, it's really changed, like I said, really changed the game, and uh, the, I guess I don't say perspective, but really changed the, perspective of our,
Right.
of individuals that go into a career in, beauty,
Right.
cosmetology, skincare, barbering. And
Yep.
yeah, it's huge that we're like, we are literally at the forefront of, all TV, all magazine, editorial,
Mm-hmm.
you know, stylists, everything has like someone that's either doing your hair, doing your makeup, your skin,
That's right.
wardrobe, behind it,
Mm-hmm.
globally. So that's, I think, just, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What a way to end it. You encompassed every single part of this industry. So that's awesome. We're going to end on that note. Again, thank you so much, Sean. Thank you, Aimee. It was a pleasure having both of you on here. So thank you
Cool.
again.
It was a
Thank you
pleasure
so
being
much.
on.
Yes.
Thank you for having us. Come visit us in Jersey. We'd love to have you anytime.
We love that.
It's happening. I know it.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Making It, the path to beauty industry greatness with Canvas Me. Our mission is to give you a voice, help you find your place of belonging, and empower you to thrive in this beautiful industry. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights that will fuel your own journey in your career. Head over to canvasme.com and unlock the next chapter of your beauty journey. Create your portfolio, showcase your unique talents, and connect with a community that understands and celebrates your story. Subscribe to Making It for more inspiring stories, and let's continue making it together.